folks. Well, there's still a bit of snow on the road. I have my airport parking coupon in its proper place. We are ready to go. And here we go. All right, I got something to talk about today, and I'm a little, I'm not going to say I'm fired up, but I'm a little bit up. So the headline, some of us may have seen this recently, was that a Florida judge approved a punitive damages claim to proceed to trial against Tesla for an autopilot death. The second autopilot death to have occurred by going underneath the side of a trailer while on autopilot. Oh my gosh, can I even go down here? This is not a normal morning thing down here. So we're going to proceed with caution. Not just a construction trailer backing in should be a normal thing, as long as this guy in front of me is smart and cautious. Most of us in Kansas fit that bill. Some places I've been. Now, if you look in this driveway, it's not, I don't know that he has room to proceed down this driveway. I'm glad I'm filming this. This could become an important record someday. Truth is, I don't really care. S&P Roofing, you got a good driver. Ooh, that's a tight fit. He's got 2 feet between him and that BMW. Woo! All right. And, you know, those roofers, they don't mess around. Okay, where was I? Besides running a stop sign and almost hitting a van. Okay. All right. So, what does that mean? Punitive damages law is something. Punitive damages, if you don't know, are damages designed to punish a defendant for intentional or grossly negligent conduct. The law varies from state to state, subject to tort reform measures, because many states, specifically Republicans, legislatures are trying to prevent businesses from paying these large verdicts. They think that it damages the insurance market for all businesses, including small businesses, even though punitive damages are seldom assessed against small businesses. That doesn't matter, because bigger businesses have more money to lobby the government. So there's your 2-second civics lesson. Now, in Florida, you can't just plead punitive damages and go to trial. Instead, it's subject to a standard where the judge looks at the evidence and decides whether there is reasonable evidence to put this in front of a jury. The idea being, we're going to add a layer of protection for businesses so that emotional juries don't just pop off on punitive. And let me add something else. Insurance doesn't cover punitive damages. So whenever you hear these lobbying measures, insurance doesn't pay for it. The only people who pay them are the people who can afford to pay them. Okay? So it's not like small businesses are being hurt by punitive damages verdicts. I'm not going to buy that. Other than they may have to pay larger settlements if they are in fear of these verdicts. And that really, frankly, is just poor business decisions on behalf of those businesses and defendants. Hire me as your risk manager and you won't do that anymore. Anyways, carrying on. The judge looks at the evidence and decides whether it can go forward to a jury. And this is why I'm a little fired up. Because, as the Washington Post, anybody with an interest in this needs to go find the Washington Post coverage on this issue on this specific case. Google, I think it was Jeremy Banner, Banner, or Stephen Banner, Stephen. I've seen it both ways. Google it, look it up, go down the rabbit hole. What kicks me is that I have talked about a very similar incident that I was familiar with that happened in 2016. Autopilot, hands off the wheel, goes under a trailer. Tesla says, we're still the safest way to drive. This was an anomaly. Moving on. Well, guess what? Mr. Banner, a husband and father of 4, died 3 years after Mr. Brown died. 3 years. And guess what? 2 years later, it happened to somebody else. This has now happened 3 times. And if you're going to tell me that a jury is not going to get highly put some high scrutiny on whatever's going on here, I'm telling you, I'm ready to put some scrutiny on this. In fact, so what was the evidence they're going to show? We don't know yet, but we have some clues. 1, we know that radar sensors were taken out of the front bumpers of Teslas at a certain point in time. Without radar sensors, it is much more difficult to detect a semi-truck crossing a highway. 2nd, although the software is not supposed to work on roads with cross-traffic, it is not supposed to be used on roads with cross-traffic, it was, in fact, able to work on this road with cross-traffic. And you can't tell me that the data kingdom of Tesla couldn't categorize highways and block autopilot on the roadways that it classified as not unsafe, as unsafe. They absolutely could do that. And they aren't doing it. And here's why. They want the data pile from all the people who do it anyway safely, because it just feeds into their messaging of how safe they are, and how many miles they've traveled, etc., etc., etc. Don't mind the pile of bodies, just look at the rest of the time. Now, I understand why this case is going to trial, and let me tell you why. Mr. Banner gets in his car. It's about 6 a.m. It's dark. He sets his cruise control in a 55 mile per hour roadway. He sets it to 69 miles an hour or 68 miles an hour. I don't remember specifically, but it was substantially over the speed limit, about 15 miles over. And this is captured in the data recorders on board, okay? We have the time. We even have footage of the crash from a farm. Security camera. We know exactly what happened, except for one thing. He gets in the car. He sets cruise control to way too fast. And then, well, we're not going to be accused of going way too fast today. Sheesh. He sets the cruise control, and he never puts his hands on the wheel. Now, Tesla did create a failsafe where after, I think, 25 seconds, you have to get both hands on the wheel, and it has to sense it. But before that time period passed, a truck kind of California rolled through a stop sign across the highway. The onboard camera captures a grainy image of this truck. It sees the truck. It does nothing. No automatic braking, no swerving, not a darn thing. Tesla goes under the trailer, shears off the roof, shears off the guy's head, just as happened before. The only difference is this might have been a slightly higher sitting Tesla, perhaps a Model X, because of the way it, the one that I remember seeing was like the Model 3 or something that was lower to the ground. This one might have been higher off the ground, but not by much. So it shears off the entire roof. He's dead. We don't know what happened. It's possible. And this is where comparative negligence gets complicated. Obviously, he was speeding. He was not intoxicated, and they can check his blood. I'm wondering, personally, as a juror, I'm going to wonder, did he go to sleep? Did he just close his eyes and make this part of his morning nap? Did he do this every day? There's got to be habitual evidence that could come in on this, but that widow's not going to talk. Whoever would know this might be a coworker or something. Nobody's going to try to stifle this family's recovery, okay? For saying I do not recall is kind of your way of donating to the family, most likely, in these situations. So you're not going to know. Nobody's going to know. So we know his hands were not on the wheel, which they were supposed to be. He agreed to terms and conditions in the onboard computer saying that there are limitations to the software, here's what it is, etc., etc. And here's where Tesla could get dinged. So if you're Tesla, anyways, this is what you take to trial. You say, here are all the rules of using our equipment. Here's where Mr. Banner tapped the screen, I acknowledge, and acknowledged and accepted our terms. Here's what they say. Here's the instructions that came with the car. All this kind of stuff, right? Here's the warning that we had him sign at the dealership, whatever it is, right? There's going to be plenty of that stuff. And based on the WashPost comments, some people agree with that. You're going to have one or two people on every jury who think that way. And when you have one or two on a jury who think that way, what's going to happen? They're either going to persuade the other people because they're analytical and they're convicted. They get like me a little bit. They get fired up for what's right, so to speak. They also just might be Elon Musk acolytes, right? They like the guy. They want to support his vision and mission. They can't afford a Tesla, but maybe someday, he's going to let me go to Mars or whatever, right? They're relying on this public image bullying in a sense. The sense of we are the way, we are the future. Do not impede our mission. My enemies will be in a pile of bodies, or whatever he said the other day. That's kind of what we're talking about. So you're going to have a jury that's going to be mixed. You're going to have, in my opinion, a majority of people who think, oh wow, what happened to this family's awful. This car company is full of nonsense. This, Trump supporter, Twitter guy who took away Twitter and changed it to X. There's going to be plenty of people who don't like Elon and Tesla. They don't like electric cars to begin with. You've got that kind of full circle of people. So you think that he might have a lot of people on his side, but people are anti-electric cars a little bit, even though they are clearly taking everything over. So you're going to have a mixed jury. It's not a great case for trial. Unless I'm the plaintiff's lawyer, in which case I think I'm going to ring the bell. Here's what I would do. I would focus on and create a trial form out of Tesla's wink-wink culture. What is wink-wink culture? It is keep your hands on at all times, wink-wink. Look what our cars can do. Don't do it, wink-wink. That is what I would highlight and sell. I don't think that Tesla comes across as genuinely meaning what they say in their legal warnings. Obviously, they have a robust legal department who does what it can for the best interests of the company, obviously. They even have their own in-house litigation team that tries the cases oftentimes. They take this stuff seriously because it can make them or break them, right? So, what do? Again, you try the case based on, so what? Okay, here's another clue about some of the evidence. While Tesla claims autopilot doesn't mean autopilot, they also put videos online that are still available today, officially from the company, showing people riding in the car on autopilot. And they don't touch the wheel, and they say this is the car's capability. This video is from 2016, right? It's still up there, and they say the human is only in the vehicle for legal reasons. And what litigation subsequently discovered was that in this video where they're touting the safety of autopilot and the utility of autopilot, actually in that specific circuit, that was not the first take. So a former employee blew the whistle or testified or something. Said, look, when we filmed this video going la-dee-da, look at my car, we had to do this several times because the car didn't know the road, it made mistakes, it would stop on a dime for no reason, it would swerve into things. There was actually a crash in the production of that video. Of course, that's in the outtakes or deleted, right? They don't show the crash. I have seen outtakes, or not even outtakes, they're official test films of these technologies. And, you know, in this instance it was, and I've never forgotten this, it was automatic braking on a semi-truck. It's been a few years, it's probably gotten better. And they all pile in this truck, right? I think it must have had extra seats, or they sat on the berth. I don't know what they did to fit a camera in the truck. It might have been on a mount, and then they were just sitting in the two front seats. I don't know. But they drive, and they reach a speed of 35 miles an hour, and they're supposed to stop before they hit this cone. And they get up to speed, and they believe in their technology. They're supposed to stop before they hit the cone, and all you hear is, oh, S word, and a crashing sound, and the camera flies across the truck and hits the floor, and you're looking at, you know, something you're not supposed to see, a floorboard or something. So, suffice to say, the reality of these technologies is not exactly what it's always touted up to be. And we're seeing this in Tesla, especially as they evolve. Now, why are the watch post comments so important? I look at these as a good example of what a thinking juror might say in a case like this. The comments were overwhelmingly negative of Tesla, but they're also negative of Tesla drivers. So you've kind of, to the extent people dislike Tesla, they dislike the customers too, which doesn't help the plaintiff. But it might help the wife of the plaintiff, right? You know, the plaintiff's obviously deceased. The wife might be a pretty nice person. I don't know. We don't know. We know that he worked in computer programming. I'm going to take a drink of the water. He's obviously a pretty hard worker, leaving the house at 6. He leaves the house before I do each day. Yeah. So that's what happened in Florida. Tesla's coming under fire. And I sort of hinted at this in an earlier video when I talk about would Tesla lie to protect its mission? Would Tesla cover things up to protect its mission? Would the employees who own stock in this wildly successful company willingly do things that damage the value of their stock? I find it unlikely. I find it likely that, the culture of wink, wink, buy our cars, they're pretty cool, and the cover-ups to keep that image going are probably what's going on. It sounds like their leader is mercurial and difficult, if not impossible, to please. So there's a culture of fear, there's a culture of do whatever and have it done yesterday. And I'm interested in what the bleed over is from some of the bad press coming out of SpaceX. SpaceX is another Elon Musk owned company that is also on an ambitious mission. Their mission is, I'm not going to profess to know the exact mission, but it has to do with, well, I believe it's to colonize Mars, frankly, is their mission. To remove life from being tethered solely to planet Earth. To do that, you need space exploration equipment like rockets, transportation implements, that can travel to Mars and also bring likely a lot of heavy equipment and supplies to Mars so that they can begin an effort in colonizing the planet. That's an ambitious mission. And if you want to see realistic progress in the lifetime of a 50-year-old Elon, you've got to be meeting some deadlines and doing them rather quickly with whatever resources you can scrounge together. And what are we hearing out of SpaceX? Well, not good things. OSHA has been saying that they have been citing the company nonstop, and that a lot of workers have died. They've had major accidents. They've not followed basic safety protocol. SpaceX says, no, we tell people, do whatever it is in your personal view keeps you safe. They put it back on the employee. Well, when the employee is told, meet this deliverable or you don't get a bonus, or meet this deliverable or we all sit here waiting, corners start to get cut. It's pretty clear that the culture is pushing people to cut corners. We'll ask questions later, we'll pay fines later, we'll do what we have to do if we get caught. But it's succeed at any cost. And that cost includes lives. It includes, catastrophic injury. And you're in Texas, right? Mostly. I think they also have some Florida. But these are conservative states. You get hurt or killed on the job, you're limited to the workers' compensation fund. And that's it. You are expendable. And that is troubling to me. In fact, I found the article that I read about SpaceX. It literally just went on for paragraphs and paragraphs. It is rare that I find something so long I can't finish it, but I just said I can't finish this. I accept your premise that SpaceX is a highly problematic company. I'm not going to read the rest of your empirical examples. Obviously, there's been a lot of research and journalism done on that company as well. But where there's smoke, there's fire, and a snake is always going to be a snake. And to me, I'm a little bit informed, sadly, on Tesla based on what I've read about SpaceX. I don't think there's going to be a major difference in the culture of these companies from one to the other. And if your view on safety is that, now there is another element here. And that is that eventually safety has to meet the mission of both of these companies. Tesla has to win that its cars are safe or safer. And that is something that matters. SpaceX has to win the public opinion that it values safety, because people aren't going to get on a spaceship if they don't feel pretty darn comfortable. We don't want another one of these underwater submarine situations, right? So if safety dovetails with your market mission, at some point, I would believe that it would be taken seriously. But the other side of that coin is, in a free market, stockholder-centric mindset, safety might be just an illusion that you sell and not an actual product. You cover up, you minimize, you desensitize, and you silence. That's how you achieve the image of safety that might be necessary for your company's mission to prevail. So these are some of the things that I think about, because I've had deals where I asked for confidentiality, and there's really not a lot of reasons I need confidentiality, but it's asked for, it's demanded by others, in the deal or something, and I'll go along with it. There isn't much to be gained for me, from things being confidential, but sometimes it helps others. It helps people. Say somebody gets a large settlement and they don't want their family coming up to them and asking for all the money, right? Give me a loan. Well, how much didn't you get a loan? Well, it wasn't that much, but I can't tell you about it, right? So confidentiality often helps the person receiving the money more than the person giving the money. But in the instance of, say, a Tesla crash like this, if you could have paid $1 million to the family of Mr. Banner, which I believe the driver of the truck did. The driver of the truck settled, and they probably paid a fair amount of money. Whatever they had available for that company was likely paid. I don't know the details. That's probably confidential. But if you're Tesla, and you could have paid $1 million to avoid the Washington Post article that I read, to avoid me talking about this conversation about their company, to avoid all of the legal fees that they spent analyzing this death and the driver and trying to impeach a dead man, to his wife sitting in the room, and to a bunch of strangers who don't like you and don't like your employer. I would pay $1 million if I had it to avoid that kind of scrutiny from a long-term corporate mission mindset. Would I pay $2 million? Probably. Would I pay $3 million? I'm starting to stink and I don't like it. A mediator could get me to pay $3.5 to $4. If it's shortly after the crash. We're talking within 12 months of the crash. Okay. Before substantial litigation's underway, I think I could live with it. Anything more than that, I'm not comfortable. and I want to go through some amount of litigation to clarify facts. You know, I would go to up to 5-6 million if the facts supported that. I think 5-6 million is probably right on the money. It's probably what they're asking for from Tesla right now, frankly. I don't know. Now, you take this to a jury, what happens? Do you get under 5 or 6 million? Most likely. At punitives, you don't. This is why the lawyers for Tesla should be dirtying their diapers. Because now that punitives are in the equation and approved by the judge, this is the settlement penalties. And let me tell you something else. Some free legal strategic advice. When a judge has an opportunity to approve a punitive damages claim, I'm not going to say this plays a role, but it absolutely has to play a role. What have you done to date to try to resolve this claim? That's going to be a subtext to whether this claim is allowed to proceed. If you've said, Your Honor, my client has not offered a dime to this widow to date, I ask for a punitive damages claim. Guess what? Your odds of getting that approved go through the roof. Because a judge goes, okay, if I approve this, I might knock around some heads at Tesla and get them to settle this thing. If you say, Judge, I've offered $2.5 million in mediation, and they still won't take it, they want 35, we're at a total loss here, guess what? Punitive damages are probably not coming in, frankly. And it's appealable, obviously, you know, so you have to do the right thing based on the evidence, but when it comes down to a discretionary call like that, you know, what's the skin in the game for the decision maker? The skin in the game is, how can I get this case settled? I want to punish the unreasonable one, right? The unreasonable one is the one who's wanting far more money than is realistic, or the person who is offering far too little money than is realistic. If you're facing a trial, you need to have some money on the table. And it needs to be a lot more than $200,000 or something, right? Unless you want to get punished in your pretrial practice. So I think that's probably playing a role here too, and why punitive damages are allowed to proceed. It's probably an effort to get more money put on the table by Tesla to appreciate the risk. What happens with insurance companies and corporate defendants is they stick themselves to like sticky tack. They stick on to certain facts, certain exhibits, certain things that color their mindset in perpetuity for the rest of the claim. They think, well, I've got this. You know, and I've been guilty of this too. And when you finally realize that maybe it isn't as significant as you think it is, right? I had a claim where, no, I didn't. Let's just say hypothetically, somebody gets in a crash, and the person who brings the claim was drunk, and they were booked on DUI. It's easy for a layperson or even someone like me to say, well, a person who was drunk and got a DUI in a crash can't bring a claim and recover money. Yes, you can. And to put it simply, yes, you can. In most states, the intoxication has to have an impact on the actual driving. And if you can't prove an impact from the intoxication, it's quite possible that many courts will exclude the evidence of the intoxication, perhaps completely, because it's prejudicial. Now, is that something that could smack you around and smack you hard if you own a company and you're at the helm of one of these lawsuits? Oh, yeah, it could. You might spend, and if you don't pay good money for good lawyers, and it's real easy to get a young lawyer to say, oh, yeah, we got this. This is called contributory negligence. It's comparative fault. It's intentional conduct. Or what, it's not hard to get a yes man in your legal team to go along with what you say, because it makes their life easier for now. What's not easy is for a lawyer or advisor to step up and say, listen, I understand your view, but there's real exposure here, whether you like it or not. And it's better that we take care of this now than in 2 years. You're just going to spend more money. Now, you can spend that money anyway, and I can say, I told you so, but I get no joy out of I told you so. When I was an immature man, I loved I told you so. It gave me, endorphins or something. It made me reaffirm that I knew what I was talking about, or that my instincts were correct, or that I could analyze facts. Whatever it was, it used to kind of turn me on a little bit. It helped me feel like I was smarter than others or something. But after a few years, I stopped getting joy from it entirely. Because I realized that I told you so, from me, is a failure by me. It is not that I was the superior mind. It was that I fumbled the ball too. Because if I'm right, and I can't convince you that I'm right, then I failed. And I'm wrong. You have to be able to be right and communicate it so that other people get it. You can't just be the mad scientist claiming you've solved alchemy. Nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to listen to you. If you don't have the credibility or communication skills or the stakeholder strength to get your point across, not just get it across, but change minds and make the right thing happen, then, we're missing out on the next level. Because any loser can sit back and say, hey, I called it. But a winner says, okay, I know how this is going to go. We've got to get everybody on board. Why? Because I care more about the right outcome than about being right. Care more about the right outcome than about being right. That's your tip of the day. And that's challenging. It requires me doing things I never wanted to do. I didn't want to suck up to people and build relationships that I didn't really think were necessary for my job, but they were necessary for the right outcome. And it's tough, because you want to be the best, you want to be above average, you've got to go above average. You've got to make it more about overall success, because overall success brings you success. If you do well, but Rome burns, you're not doing well, because Rome's gone. So where are you going to spend your money? What are you going to do, right? So, there's my rants for the day. We filled 40 minutes, climbing up closer to the airport. Got some traffic, but I'm going to be just right on time. My plane boards in 59 minutes. And I've got to be getting close. So, good things. Good things. I've got some congestion that went away for a little bit this morning, but it seems to be okay. Flashing lights. I don't know what this truck's trying to do. They're off now. He's trying to get up to highway speed from the shoulder. Very dangerous. Or he's on a ramp. He's not getting up to speed. There's reasons for that. Being overloaded, poorly maintained truck. I have seen some bad crashes come from trucks entering on exit ramps and not on ramps rather, and not getting up to speed fast. They get hit from behind. And again, that speed differential. If you're going 30 and they're going 60, is a lot worse than if you're going 50 and they're going 60, right? Some of the worst crashes you find are from people who have pulled over on the side of the road, but maybe they couldn't quite get over all the way, or their car died before they could get out of the road completely, whatever. That's why visibility. Did you know it's actually the law that when a truck pulls over on a shoulder, it should be for an emergency, not to go take a pee, they should go out. So there are certain feet requirements where you place reflective triangles on the ground. And you go out, it's like 25 feet, 50 feet, and 100 feet or something. And you place these so that an oncoming vehicle sees the cone and realizes, oh, I need to get over. Especially if you're in a travel lane for some awful reason. You put these cones out there so that traffic can get over and do so with enough reaction time. Now, I've had people tell me that, I don't have people tell me, it just is dangerous to go place these cones, right? Because you've got to get out and walk. All right, I want you to even imagine walking 100 feet down a highway. That ain't fun. And that's not safe. What are some things you can do? I own a reflective vest. You can wear them in a truck yard. You can wear them taking a walk with your dog. You can wear them wherever the heck you want. You can wear them all day long. It will reflect the sunlight. It will reflect headlamps from cars. It can very easily save your life. So, is that vest in my car like it should be? Let's hope, right? Well, now that guy's flying, and I need to get over, but I need to get back over. So, anyways, you wear the vest. Now he's passing me. The guy with the load who couldn't get up to speed, not to mention. You wear the reflective vest while you place the cones. This isn't a bad idea for anybody driving, although it is the law for vehicles under the federal, who fall under the federal, regulation. It's not a bad rule to follow if you're a regular person, especially if you drive in rural roads, 2-lane highways, things like that, without shoulders, roads that are quiet county roads. The flashers just don't give enough warning. If people are coming at 55, or if they're speeding and going, say, 65 or 70 miles an hour, it's no bueno. You need that extra warning time, especially if you're blocking the travel lane. The cones are, or even flares. I think flares are an approved substitute for the cones, which are, they are exactly what they say. They're like fireworks that go off for a period of time and provide a light source independently of headlamps or the sun. So you can see them from the sky or whatever. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap things up. Everyone has